What's happening, guys? This is a Pot of Brand podcast, boxing edition, with a little breaking news. On November 16th in Saudi Arabia, Tevin Farmer versus William Zepeda was scheduled for the WBC Interim Lightweight Championship of the World, with the winner obviously in line to fight Shakur Stevenson. Well, in talking to management from Tevin Farmer, we have been informed of a few issues that had happened after the fight. Well, let's go back to the fight first. The scores were 95-94 for Farmer, 95-94 twice for Zepeda. Zepeda was dropped in the fourth round of the fight. I thought the fight was extremely close, but I thought that the knockdown gave Farmer the edge there. As the fight progressed, I will say Zepeda was throwing a lot of punches, and he's a very pressure fighter, has a lot of stamina. Which brings into play what happened after the fight. Tevin is a fighter who's in great shape all the time. Never someone who tires out. He has a great defense. He's punching a lot harder. He's putting a lot of pressure back on him. Now, here's what happened after the fight. As in the contract stated, there was to be drug testing after the fight and prior to the fight. And I don't know, I'm trying to get confirmation if there was drug testing prior to the fight, but after the fight, there was no drug testing for either Tevin Farmer or William Zepeda. So that was a fair situation. It wasn't that like they tested Tevin and didn't test Zepeda. They didn't test either. It was contractually agreed to that was to happen. Didn't happen. The excuse that they gave to the management of Tevin Farmer was there just wasn't enough staff. That is inexcusable, I believe. I believe at the level out there putting on fights out there in Saudi Arabia, that has to be taken care of. I am not accusing anyone of taking anything because they were both not tested. However, to make it transparent, you have to have it done. I've said it a million times. Boxing is honor amongst thieves. If you were to tell me that I don't think that a majority of the world champions out there or people who have an edge have used something allegedly, or if they're doing it now, I don't know. But it definitely begs to the question, if this stuff is not being done, could they get away with it? I don't know. Boxing is the dirtiest sport there is. It'll always be a dirty sport no matter what. Boxing will never clean itself up. That's just the reality. I mean, we've been saying this for years. Ever since I was a kid, that boxing has to be cleaned up and we need a commission, and it's not going to happen. That stuff will not happen. Too many promoters that just don't care enough about the fighter. Too many promoters and management that don't care about the fighters. But when you get someone who doesn't get tested in the contract, like honestly, what can they do? They can't do anything. What, they got to tell Turkey to, hey, we need testing? That's not going to happen. You know, and to have the excuse that there was no one available, that really raises a red flag for me. I don't believe that could be the case in a company that does, or over in Saudi that does the big events that they do. They don't have enough staff. They don't have enough staff to take a urine sample. They don't have enough staff to have the testing done prior to the fight and after the fight. I find that hard to believe. I think Tevin was put in a position where he was up against it going over to Saudi Arabia. I think that in itself, you know, the fighter, Zepeda is a great fighter. I'm not going to deny that. But I think given Tevin Farmer's body of work and his resume and what he's been able to accomplish, I think he deserved a fair shake. I don't know if it was a conclusive win for Zepeda or was a conclusive win for Farmer. It was extremely close. My opinion is that Tevin won. That may be biased a little bit because I know Tevin and I know his management, but I do think he won this fight. And when I heard that there was no drug testing afterwards, to me that raises a red flag. I know Tevin is a clean fighter. I don't believe that not having enough staff is an excuse. You know, I know that Shakur Stevenson has spoken out about this on his Twitter account. I know FightHype.com has done a story on it. This is something that has to be looked into. And then Shakur Stevenson on his end is now aware that had happened. Yeah, again, I'm not accusing anybody of doing it. It just raises a red flag when you say you don't have staff to complete the job. That stuff should be in place. by the commission, and there has to be times where you have to question whether or not it's on the up and up. Well, that being said, guys, please like and subscribe to the podcast. We'll be back this week with some other exciting news. But remember, don't be envious of what I've accomplished in my life. Be inspired by what you can do in yours. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching the Zepeda brand podcast. Please subscribe to the podcast and listen where all podcasts are available.